Hello. Hello. Hi. It's Jorbs. It's been a long time, I think, since I broke out the Google Slides last. It's been winter. Do not have a lot of creative energy in winter. Um, but this is just like too on the nose for me not to do this. And you'll see why as a presentation chugs along here. I've been writing a book for the last almost 2 years now. Um, 1 and 2/3 years, I guess. Um, Focused on abuse and manipulation in the online entertainment industry, of which I have encountered a bit, but more prominently, I have a lot of friends who have dealt with a lot of stuff that I've fortunately not had to deal with, but they did. And at some point, there was just a book ready to be written. I just had that much stuff, and I wanted to say it, and I wanted to say it in a way that could be productive and a way where, like, I could be negative without feeling bad about it. Because as an entertainer, I feel like it's my job to make everybody smile and have a good time, you know? But I wanted to be able to say, like, okay, there's some shit we have to talk about for real, though, and I wanted to present it in a way that was, like, separate. So if that's not your vibe, if you just want to chill out, just chill out. But this is something I've worked on tremendously hard. I've put many, many, many hours and even more like emotion into working on this book about the online entertainment industry and talking about my experience and the experiences of my friends. And one of the chapters in the book is about Softgiving, a charity company which I worked for indirectly, kind of, for almost a year. And it was really awful. It was not my choice to work for them. It was via a contract I had with somebody else, which obliged me to work for them afterwards. This is one of the reasons that I'm not associated with any organizations anymore, because I don't want anybody to ever sign a contract like that ever again that obliges me to do something I don't want to do. Just not worth it. Just not worth it to, like, I have my platform and we can do this independently, and I'm super happy and glad and thankful for that. But Softgiving has been in the news recently. Um, and we'll get into why, I guess. But first, I want to talk to you about Greenbeard altruism, because, hey, we could learn something instead of this just being a negative experience, right? So Greenbeard altruism is this, like, I guess I think of it as a game theoretical concept. Maybe it's a concept from evolutionary science. It has game theoretical elements, so it should attach itself naturally to you as a strategy gamer interested in my channel. And the idea here is, like, let's imagine that people are living and they're trying to survive. Well, it seems perhaps intuitive that an individual would want to be selfish in order to maximize their chance of surviving. They want to, like, get as much food for themselves. They want to make sure that they have shelter and everything before helping others. Maybe they don't even bother helping others, because if the others fail, then less competition for them. Then they can get even more food in the future. And so if you look at, like, how humans evolved and naively believe that it would be advantageous to be selfish, it's hard to understand how altruism can possibly exist. I think this mirrors extremely closely to the prisoner's dilemma, where in the prisoner's dilemma, it's understood that if two people who are incapable of, like, clear trust and communication can work out how to cooperate, they'll end up in the best scenario possible. So you can imagine humans evolving. If they could all cooperate, they could build societies and learn to farm and make cities and start doing science and all of this stuff. But if they can't work out how to cooperate, if they can't communicate clearly and trust each other, then there's no way to tell that nobody's going to take advantage of you. In the prisoner's dilemma, this is called defecting. For the purposes of this presentation, I've talked about selfish people. if you're out there being like, okay, let's like build a farm in a little village. Here's all the stuff I have. Let's like build our stuff out of it. And then your friend, in quotation marks, is just like, oh, thanks for all the stuff that you have. I'm going to take that now. And doesn't help build the village at all, then you're kind of shit out of luck. Or if you're like, let's build a village, and your friend's like, well, that's a great vision. What if we do it my way and we do this and this and this? And yeah, you can pay for it. And then I'm going to be in the most comfortable house and I'm going to be in charge of everyone. Thanks for helping and giving all of your stuff, though. Like altruism, just like in a world where people can be selfish, altruism is a pretty stupid strategy. It's not a very successful strategy from a game theoretical perspective. But there is a bunch of altruism in the world. People give money to charity. People are parts of communities and organizations where they are kind to each other. People are in families where they help each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there must be something going on here. And an answer that I have seen presented and that I think is cute and that maybe you'd like to hear about is the idea of altruists having green beards. I've seen this illustrated in like comic book fashion almost, and it's like these green bearded hippies and like Birkenstocks munching on carrots, you know. The idea that altruists can for some reason tell who the other altruists are. So when a selfish person comes up to them and is like, hey, I want to build a village where I'll be in charge, give me all your stuff, the altruist looks at them and is like, wait a second. You don't have a green beard like all my friends. There's something off about you. And doesn't give them all their stuff. So altruists can live in a village together, and they can all tell somehow that the others with them are altruists too, and they can cooperate, and they can build a society, and they can start doing great things together, and, you know, mankind evolves, and we invent, I don't know, all the beautiful things that we've invented. We've done some pretty good stuff. Some bad as well, but you know, there's some good stuff out there. So obviously we don't actually have green beards. I mean, some people do, but that's not what green beards mean. But green beards, like the idea is a metaphor for other sorts of behaviors which signify that you are altruistic and kind and giving, like giving to charity or being involved in an altruistic community, perhaps a church that gives back to the community, something like that. Even something like vegetarianism, maybe, where if you look at the effective altruism movement, which I'm not going to recommend as a movement, and I think is kind of a cult and stuff, but one of the things that they do is that they like expect members to tithe 10% of their yearly income and become vegan if it's suggested but not perhaps mandatory. And so there are lots of different versions of this, but the idea is that you want something that's like kind of costly. Tithing a 10% of your income to charity is not free, right? You want something that lets you actually confirm, like, yeah, that person's actually an altruistic person, so that you can actually trust that that's what's going on. Because if that person is actually a fraudulent person, then they could infiltrate your movement and do terrible, terrible, terrible things. Like start a little work cult on an island where they fraudulently steal billions of dollars. And God, yeah, they really fucked that up, didn't they? Anyway, if you don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is yet, I don't know which rock you've been living under, but for the effective altruism movement, that Greenbeard stuff didn't work out super well. And there's no necessarily guaranteed reason why it would. Because your little signifier, your little way of telling that somebody else is kind and good so that you'll cooperate with them, could be faked by another person. And I'm calling these people imposters. So like a selfish person can be like, those people who live over in that village over there, they all have green beards and they're really nice to each other. But I've noticed that my friends who don't have green beards don't get to go there and just take all the stuff. Which is unfair because the green beard people, they'll give all their stuff to each other, but they won't give it all to me. What's wrong with that? And the selfish person doesn't realize that, like, well, they have to learn to share as well if they want to be part of that community. They just notice that they all have green beards and think, well, if I got myself a green beard, maybe they'd think I was one of them, and then I could take all their stuff. So if green beards are easily faked, selfish people can trick altruists and take advantage of them, is the idea here. And the big, a large concern in like evolutionary math, game theory, whatever field we're talking about, I don't even know, is that there is some inflection point in there where, say, like 5% of people who have green beards are selfish. Probably it's still going to be net advantageous to be part of a group of green bearded individuals who help each other and stuff. And there will be a few imposters, but overall, it's still going to be beneficial to you, which means that these communities are going to thrive and succeed and continue to grow and continue to do good things. But there will be some inflection point, and it's not necessarily super high, where the people who are just pretending, just along to take advantage of what's going on, are going to be such a drain on the resources of the group that the group fails and dies. No longer succeeds in the world, which in like terms of evolution would mean just completely dying out. That group would no longer exist after a few more generations. So that's a huge concern. And it's this like rapid tipping point potentially. If people work out how to fake it and get into your group could just lose all of its utility and value for you almost overnight. It could go from being something that was bringing you great success and joy and improving your life and the lives of others to being something that was a drain on you and the other like good people who were seeking to cooperate. This is a nasty potential thing with serious consequence. And it's easily identifiable just from like a zoomed out distance as being one of the vulnerabilities of altruism. If people fake being altruistic, they can destroy altruism, because the people who are altruistic no longer have a way to function as altruists in the world. Their communities are broken. They no longer get any reward for being altruistic because other people like them can't tell that they really are altruistic, so won't know to share with them and applaud them and recommend them to each other and so on and so forth. And yeah, this is where charitable giving goes to fucking die, basically. It's grim and not good, and yeah. So let me talk a little bit about my online charity work. I think I started doing online charity work in 2016. There was a year where I played XCOM for a week over Christmas and donated all of the money to the Dream program. And I think it was 2016, perhaps it was 2017, but regardless, it was like around then. So it's been going for a while. That's 7 years ago now. Holy moly. There were 3 years in a row where I did a 24-hour charity stream on Christmas in there. I tried to hit like Christmas, Valentine's Day, and my birthday, I think, were the 3 major days of the year where I tried to do a charity event for a long time. This was a big part of what I enjoyed about streaming, and for a long time, this was just awesome for me and my stream. This was a way to meet other content creators who were really interested in charity work, to communicate to my audience that this was the sort of person that I was, that I cared about mentoring youth and getting clean water for communities which needed clean water, and mental health, and oh my gosh, motivation, and improving your own life. And I've raised money for all sorts of charities, and it's been tremendous and awesome and has enriched my life, and I'm extremely thankful for all the opportunities that I've had. I used to spend a lot of time researching these charities, and in 2020, I was working on a climate-focused year where myself and my manager found a different charity for each month to educate my audience on the cause in mind. So imagine that you're existing in the latter half of 2019. It looks like the big concern for the world right now might be climate change. We don't know about coronavirus yet, and I feel like coronavirus has significantly modified what our conversation about the bad things in the world has been for the last like 2 or 3 years. But in 2019, it was like, oh yeah, climate change is something that we have to tackle. I'm a strategy gamer. I'm good at taking complex things and presenting them to people in a way which is understandable and possible, like basically presenting a toolkit for people to think about things with. I want to do that with climate change. I want to, in January, like we didn't even just start with climate change. In January, I talked about habit forming. So the charity was about like how to learn to improve your own life so that you could make changes in your life. Because I feel like a huge issue with climate change right now and climate action for individuals is that people just feel hopeless and lost. Like, is recycling even real, or does it just get shipped to China? What's up with the plastic straws? I like the other straws. Do they even make a difference at all? And people just maybe need someone to help them out with like, this is a thing you can do that's easy, that helps a bit. This is another thing. Here's a way that you can change your behaviors in your life. I've derailed into talking about climate change, which is something I'm passionate about. But yeah, like I spent a lot of time thinking about this shit is the general point that I'm trying to make. Every month I had a different thing planned, and I was collaborating with lots of new charities who I hadn't worked with before. I was having guests on to talk about what was going on. I was assigning readings to people. I was making channels in the Discord to talk about these charities and stuff. And then Softgiving rolled into my life in April of 2020. So I did 3 streams as planned for charity, and then the 4th that was planned in April, Softgiving came in and changed things up a bit. What the fuck is Softgiving? What's that? So when I started out doing charity work on Twitch, I would literally just do a stream where I wrote something sort of like a twit longer, basically maybe a Google Doc about the charity that I was raising money for. I had some like talking points which I'd repeat on stream and also make available for people to read. And I had a link to a donation page for the charity. I didn't actually know how much money I raised because I was just directing people straight to the charity page. And I didn't really mind that super much. I encouraged people to share if they'd made a donation. Sometimes I think I had like rewards set up where like, hey, if you like screenshot yourself donating $50+, I'll do this thing for you or whatever, you know, attention economy streaming stuff. I'm sure you all understand how that works fairly well, or at least you've seen it before. But a few smart people saw that some streamers were doing this and succeeding at raising money by doing it. And they were like, well, we could make this experience better. We could get in between the streamer and the charity. And we could set up a platform where if people donate to the platform, the money eventually gets to the charity, sure. But first we take like a 3%, 5% cut for our operational costs. And in return for that, we make it so that when someone donates to the charity, an alert plays on the streamer's stream. We make it so there's a user interface thing which shows like a thermometer. I think that's what it's called, which is weird because why is it a thermometer? But anyway, you know, the thing where it starts at $0 and it has $10,000 up here, and over the time it goes boom, 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 and speeds up. We could have like a list of donation goals. So if people hit $2,500, the streamer's going to do this thing, and we could set up a graphical interface so it could be overlaid on the streamer's video feed while they're streaming. These are all pretty good ideas. I do not think that the idea of having a middleman between the streamer and the charity is necessarily a bad thing. I think that all of that makes the experience of raising money for charity, if not better, at least it provides more tools that could be used by people who wanted to use them. So, people can still run a charity event where they just link to the donation page of the charity, but also if they want to do all this stuff with the fancy graphic overlays, they can do that too. So like overall having more options is probably good here. Probably, maybe. And the first organization to really do a good job of this was Tiltify, which a lot of you will have heard of. I've run charity streams through Tiltify before, many of them. I've raised a lot of money on Tiltify's platform. Many other people have seen what Tiltify is doing. I've had conversations with a number of like the established third-party augmenters of streams in the streaming space, I want to say. The people who like make overlays and donation things and stuff like that. I've even had conversations with people at Twitch about adding this sort of support to Twitch itself. Lots and lots and lots of people have seen what Tiltify has done and been like, oh, we could do this too. I think more because they've seen that it's a way for them to make money than because they've been like, we could offer a better service than Tiltify does. That's kind of been my impression. And for me, in my life, with my experience of charity fundraising, it was Softgiving who entered and was like, well, Tiltify doesn't charge as much as they could. And we've got some investors who recognized that, and we're here to change the game. So, yeah. I already plugged the book I'm releasing about manipulation and abuse in online entertainment. Did I mention at the start? I don't remember, but I have actually released the chapter about Softgiving from that book as a preview chapter, and you can find it in my Discord in the Book Club of Stabbing thread. It'll be pinned in there, and it's probably just linked below this video, honestly, assuming that I remember to do that. If you don't want to go to the Discord, I know getting into someone's Discord is a lot of work, but it's a fun place. Like thousands of people in my Discord. We talk about all sorts of stuff. There's a daily cat girl. That it's not weird. It's cool. It's like it's a nice vibe. It's like, oh, nice. Anyway, in 2020, so I was a part of a team called F2K, and F2K had a promised investment from, believe it or not, Mike Tyson. Weird story. Which fell through, and suddenly F2K was like, oh shit, we haven't been raising money for 6 months because we had a promised investment from Mike Tyson, or at least his investment group, right? And it was meant to be exclusive, so F2K was meant to only be getting money from Tyson's people, because Tyson wanted to have control over the company, but Tyson's people. I'm saying Tyson's people because like I don't want to place complete blame on Mike Tyson here. I don't think that he was like pulling all of, like, he has a lot of money and he has people who do things with his money, right? I think that the people who do things with his money were mostly the people making these decisions. I don't want to defame Mike Tyson for no reason and get sued by Mike Tyson for making this video. It seems like an unnecessary thing to do. But anyway, his investment group or whatever said they were going to provide exclusive funding for F2K. 6 months later, they hadn't provided any money yet and backed out of the deal. And F2K suddenly had no money and had to get money really quick. And the solution of F2K's CEO was an exclusive deal with Softgiving, who were in the business of being for-profit charity middlemen, which was going to govern all of the charity work that streamers did online for a full year, starting in April 2020. This is like 60 streamers on F2K, all signed up via F2K to do charity work through Softgiving's platform for their communities. And like, before I even go to the next slide, first of all, like, content warning, like, this isn't good stuff. If you feel like you already got the premise of the video and can guess the conclusion, you can maybe just leave. This is maybe the juicy drama, or maybe it's like the bullet points that really enforce the point that I'm making. I don't know. Yeah, what followed was not great. Content warning. But before I even go to the next slide, I just want to say, like, this is already ludicrous. It is ludicrous for F2K, which was basically just a streaming organization where people like signed a contract that was like, yeah, we'll like take sponsorships from you and you can take a commission for bringing them to us. It is ludicrous for F2K to say that it can sign away exclusive rights to streamers' charity work. It is ludicrous for F2K to mandate that streamers do charity work at all. This is just already ludicrous, and Softgiving asking F2K if they can pay for that, also ludicrous. We have begun at a point where if this went as well as humanly possible, it would still be like unethical and wrong. So it's not a great starting point, right? It's not a great starting point. Okay, but then the next slide happens. Okay, so Softgiving's requirements for me and for everybody else was that I would do a 6-hour charity stream every 2 months. And they had like a definition of what a charity stream was. Like, select the charity, advertise the Softgiving interface with the charity's name and Softgiving's branding all over the place everywhere, talk about the charity a certain number of times, have donation goals, etc., etc., etc. They vetted all of this. They had to approve our donation goals and what we were going to do, and so on and so forth. So yeah, through their platform, these were charities that Softgiving chose. So I couldn't be like, well, I've been working on a climate year. I have all of these issues that I want to address, and I've been working with charities for the last 6+ months to find the best ones to make the best change in the world. I couldn't really do that. We weren't allowed to do other charity work online. So like, my friend was having a birthday party where she was raising money for the Trans Lifeline, and I should have just not asked and gone and done it, honestly, but I mean, I'm this. I'm this thing. So when I'm part of a team, I like ask, is my behavior okay? Is this the right thing for me to do? So I asked, because fuck me, right? I'm trying to be a good person in the world. So I asked them, hey, well, surely you'd be okay with me like joining my friend's stream for her birthday stream, which is raising money for the Trans Lifeline, right? Like, right? Because you're a charity organization, so surely you'd want me to do that, to do good in the world. And they're like, no, you're not allowed to do that. It wasn't even on my fucking stream. Anyway. Also, maybe lost in this bullet, not allowed to do charity work online. Other than this, I wasn't allowed to do charity streams more than every 2 months either. So like, talking with Softgiving reps was grotesque at times, but I just like felt really insulted when I was talking about how I wanted to do a charity stream every month. I got told that like my community would be on cooldown. Like, you can only extract money from people once every 2 months. You can't just extract money from them every month. That's too often. It was basically what was communicated to me. Like, fuck those guys. Fuck them. I mean, they don't know anything about my channel. I'm like, one of the reasons that I feel comfortable doing charity work on Twitch, or at least did before all of this shit, is that my audience is like older than a lot of people's audiences. I have all sorts of people who have like coding jobs and like good incomes who can afford to give money to charity. And so it feels like a conversation with a community of smart, intelligent, and empowered individuals about like how this cause that I found might be a good cause to support. And I feel like if I present good arguments, a lot of the people in the audience are like, oh yeah, I have money. I want to give to charity anyway. This is a good one to choose. And I absolutely feel like with my community, I could do that once a month. But no, I was told that I wasn't allowed to, and told that I basically didn't understand anything about extracting money from my community, which in fairness, I wouldn't have phrased what I was doing like that to begin with. So fair enough. Yeah, maybe I don't. I don't know. Um I also want to mention like F2K streamers weren't paid directly for this. I wasn't paid by Softgiving. Um it was made part of our obligations to be on F2K to like receive our salary. So I didn't really want to leave F2K because a lot of the people on F2K were generally genuinely awesome people. Like people I'm very, very glad to have gotten to work with and be a part of a team with. Also, I'm a terminal team player. I will stay on a team far longer than I should. Um, you know, I stay after the party to do the dishes. So I'm just kind of a dumbass and I stuck around when maybe I should have left. Also, like during the whole thing where we had no money because of, I worked for equity. So I also had equity in F2K, which gave me some investment in F2K succeeding. Like I wanted to see F2K pick up investment money so that I could sell my like 2% of the company or whatever for something that wasn't 2% of the company. I didn't really want to have 2% of a failing esports team, but that was what I had, and I was trying to do what I could with it. So I stuck around. A choice that I have regretted ever since. Honestly, I don't regret it that much. It felt good to me to stay on the team for other reasons, and this was the worst thing that happened because of me staying on the team, but I got to do some other good stuff alongside all of this shit happening, so maybe in the balance it ended up being okay. Maybe I'm just too hard on myself. I don't know. Anyway, Softgiving was over/mismanaging streamers that they didn't know about. I already talked about them like telling me how to extract money from my community. They also tried to encourage me to be excitable, which is like, if you enjoy my content, you probably find that really funny. I hope you do. I find it really funny. um, I am dry. I am sardonic. When I am emotional, I am an emotional person. Insofar as I tell you, like I'll be like, I'm having an emotion right now. That's basically the way in which I am emotional. I have teared up on charity streams, but I'm not. I'm not like an exuberant person. I'm not an extremely emotional person. I'm not an extremely excitable person, and that's one of the things that my viewership likes about my content is that I'm me. So they tried to tell me not to be me without knowing me, and that's yeah. Suggested an Asian one on the team dressed as a schoolgirl. That message got deleted after it was sent, but yeah, suggested we eat dog food a whole lot. They had a list of like suggested milestone goals, and some of them were not good. A friend of mine who works for a different organization worked with Softgiving for a while, and they tried to have her get a streamer to do a sexy dance if the donation goal was set. Which is like, I'm not a lawyer, but I am fairly confident that given the construction of the work arrangement here, I'm pretty confident that that's just the legal definition of sexual harassment of a like employee. Um, I'm pretty sure you can ask people to do that at their jobs. um, especially if your contract obliges them to do stuff like this, or they will lose their paycheck. Like, yeah. And my friend, to her credit, was like, I could you put that in writing? Then didn't ever tell the streamer that the request had been made. And when they tried to follow up on it, my friend asked the person if they could hear what they were saying, because my friend is a badass. But at F2K, we had we had a few badasses in management, but not enough, I guess. And they weren't in places of power where they could really make many changes in all of this. My manager looked out for me a huge amount during all of this and smoothed things over a lot, and eventually just told me that I didn't have to do it anymore, which and I was like, what? And she was like, no, you just don't worry about it, you don't have to do that. And I was like, everybody keeps saying I do. And she was like, you don't. So thank you, Hannah. Love you, Hannah. Hannah is a frequent recurring main character in my book, if you're interested in learning more about Hannah. But yeah, that was all going on. They had an algorithm which set fundraising goals for us, which is like, throughout my entire existence as a streamer, people in the back end have been trying to build algorithms to describe Twitch channels. And it's just like the most ludicrous, stupid thing imaginable. Like, if you did it well, there could be value in it, sure. But sort of like definitionally, anytime there's a successful Twitch channel, there is already a person who knows a tremendous amount about that channel. Like the person running it, you know? And also Twitch channels are tremendously different from each other. Like the audience for one game is very different from the audience for another game. My channel is a different place depending on which game I'm playing, depending on what time I stream, depending on what mood I'm in, depending on how long I've been streaming for, and depending on which hosts I've gotten. And that's just my channel. That's not even like other people's channels, depending on what time of day it is, depending on what time of the week it is. Sorry. Yeah, so trying to have like an algorithm that can just come into a team with 60 streamers on it, and you just like plug all the streamers in the algorithm and work out how much money they can make using your Softgiving platform is just like not intelligent. Just not a very good idea. But I basically was told how much money I was expected to make. They told me I was expected to make $6,000, which was like a very, very significant amount less than my previous charity streams that year had made. But they didn't look at those. They looked at stupid numbers from an algorithm and told me that that was how much I should try to make. And one of the things here is like, I'm agreeing to raise money for charity in a way that I feel is dishonest and awful and et cetera, because I think that it's worth it to stay on the team, stay like there for the people who are good in the organization and stuff like that. But if they weren't going to pay us extra if we overshot our goal, basically. I didn't see all of the contracts and everything, but I was told basically that if I raised more than $6,000, like F2K were getting paid an amount consistent with the idea that I'd raise $6,000. And so the universes I could live in where I could overshoot that, in which case it didn't matter at all. F2K was just getting paid the same amount. And I was exposing all of my viewers to Softgiving's, like, Softgiving, even without getting into all the back end stuff that they do and everything, when you donated through Softgiving, it said like, the way we make money is from you tipping us so that we can keep doing this great job of encouraging charitable giving. We recommend a 15% tip as well. No! 15%? No. No. Like an appropriate cut for the platform to take for a service like this is like maybe 3%. Um, no. But their default was 15%, and it was presented in a way like this is expected behavior, which is one of the like most dangerous things about the online space is that it isn't defined what's expected behavior yet. And so like a website can add a ton of service fees to what they're doing, and we aren't all like, wow, that's fucking stupid. None of us are ever going to use that website again. We're like, oh yeah, service fee. Okay. Don't know about this thing, but I mean, I guess I like getting my food delivered. Um, I guess it's okay. Or a charitable giving website can be like, in order to keep functioning, we need you to give us money instead of the charity. And the amount we need you to give is 15% of what you're giving the charity. And people can be like, well, they raise money for charity. They must be telling us the truth, I guess. They're good people, right? They have their green beards on. But no, that's like fucking ludicrous. That, like, my hands are shaking thinking about that right now. I you can look up what percentage of money a charity raises actually gets to the cause, right? Because some charities put a lot of emphasis on advertising. Some charities have like large infrastructural costs going on, stuff like that. So they might get, you know, maybe they get only 60% of the money you donate to them to charity or something, which you might think like, well, that's not very good. I want better than that. I think for me, like my gold standard was for a charity to be getting more than 85% of its money to charity. Although if the charity was doing a really good job of like paying its employees well and getting them benefits and just like treating the organization itself well and the people who are working for it well, I could go down from there a little bit. But the idea of this for-profit middleman taking 15% just like off the top for no reason really at all, like that's not okay. That I guess it's important for me to sit here and tell you no, that's not appropriate. That isn't good behavior. That let's set the line here. That's not a thing that we should be doing online. Anyway, yeah, on top of that, like God, the guy who like was assigned as the handler for pretty much everyone on the team was just kind of a like not a great guy. I don't want to like name him and get into it here because one of the things that I did with my book was when I wanted to say negative things about people, I said them in a way that could be edited and like polished and turned into something that, you know, felt like an okay thing to say and was publishable and everything. And so I don't want to just like pop off the cuff about him right now, but he did have a conversation with me on the morning of my birthday at 6 a.m. about like how the way that I was planning to raise money for my channel didn't seem very good right before I did my birthday charity stream. And then after my charity stream, when we raised 3 times what the algorithm he had said we would raise, and my manager sent him a message saying, see, we did it. He did in text call her a smug bitch. So those things happened. Oh no, there's another slide. I think I probably mentioned that the charities available weren't great charities. I was actually able to get the charity that I wanted to raise money for onto their platform ahead of time. So I had this conversation with my handler when Softgiving signed F2K, and I was like, hey, so you're this huge charity organization with, it seems like quite a lot of investment capital, possibly. I'm doing a year of charity work for climate change, and I was just thinking, like, maybe you could support it in some ways. Like, you could surface that to your audience on your homepage, maybe, or you could give out some educational stuff about the charities that I was raising money for. And he was like, nah, we're not going to do that. No. And then I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just like I'll work out how to do it on my own. Except none of the charities I'm trying to raise money for are on your website. So what do you how do I and he was like, "Well, yeah, you're going to have to raise money for the charities on our website." And I was like, "Could we maybe do anything at all?" um And so I managed to convince them to let me do a charity stream every month, but I still had to do it in the way they wanted, and F2K wasn't going to get paid for the extra one that I was doing on the off months when my community was on cooldown. Um, and he said that he could get my charities onto the webpage as long as I sent someone from them to talk to him. And this was like a really weird thing. He wanted the people to talk to him like a day or two before the event, which at the time I just found really confusing. And I don't know if this is the explanation, but my hunch is that the explanation is that he wanted them to sign shit that was like absolutely deplorable and awful and didn't want to give them enough time to think about it or negotiate, basically. But I don't know if that's true. That might not be true. I like, let's not accuse these people of doing things that I don't have proof of because like that's just not necessary. That I just don't need to do that. Um there's there's just a lot of stuff I have proof of. So um yeah, so the charities available weren't great charities, and when I sent my charitable contacts to talk to him and get on the website, I only ever did this with one charitable contact, a guy I had been like in touch with for 10 years and raising money for that entire time, who had run charity streams on my channel for many, many, many times. I like get Christmas cards from him. I was like, yeah, I have this for-profit charity middleman, and they need to talk to you so that I can raise money for them. I'm not really associated with them. Like, do your please do the thing that would let me raise you money, but please know that they aren't me, kind of idea. Like, I had a non-indemnification clause, or I wasn't allowed to say mean things about them. That one's expired. That one lasted for a year after I left F2K. So, um, anyway, we recently. Oh my god. By the way, I'm currently doing a limited time merch run, and you can get a mouse pad. I didn't realize that I had those alerts on right now, but you can get a really nice high quality mouse pad with like me and Turtle Friend on it, and it's really cool. It looks like this. It's genuinely really, really sweet, and it's high quality. It's slightly thicker than most desk mouse pads, and it is obviously large enough to fit on your desk. And now that we've done a brief foray into capitalism, we'll return to the stream about how I'm a charitable person. I don't usually do merch stuff, but this was like a really good opportunity, and it's like limited time, so I get to do it once and never think about it again. And quite a few people have ordered and are really excited about it, so that's cool. Anyway, the reason this is all like a huge deal is that there was recently a contract that had been signed by Softgiving with a charity leaked, and I'd never seen one of those. I knew that they had some sort of like partnership with charities, and that some sort of terms were happening with exclusivity and Softgiving taking some sort of money and getting advertised on the charities' homepages and stuff like that. And um, I assumed like maybe Softgiving was getting like a 10% commission or something. Like 15 to 20% maybe is like pretty standard in the streamer space. 15 to 20% commission for a. so, so recently a contract was leaked between Softgiving and a charity, and I haven't done perfect fact checking on this and everything, right? But I like the words of the contract that were leaked said, said that Softgiving got a 50%, 50% commission on the money raised for the charity streams that they were putting on for this charity, which is yeah. Yeah. I like again, the online space is a space where like expectations haven't properly been set yet. What is fair, what is reasonable isn't necessarily known by anybody. And especially if you're working at a charity, if an organization comes to you and they're like, "We can get people to raise money for your charity." These are people who wouldn't raise money for your charity otherwise. We're going to get them to do it. Um, and we'll take some of it so that we can keep on providing the service to charities like you, and you get the other half of it. Like, I feel like if I were at a charity, I would be like, wow, that's a really high cut. But I can at least understand somebody at a charity thinking like, well, we wouldn't get this money otherwise, so it's fair for Softgiving to take it, right? Like that, like overall more money is being raised for the charity, which like which like the entire reason Softgiving exists is that people noticed that streamers were doing this on their own, right? Like Softgiving isn't making people raise money for charity. They're a fucking lecherous middleman shitter that has identified that so many people are eager to raise money for charity that they could make millions of dollars off people doing that. They're not. They're no. So, and this entire time, I didn't receive any communication on how much FTQ is getting paid by Softgiving, like ever. I was never told, which was weird to me. I had equity in the company, so I think I could have twisted arms probably, but like I twisted arms almost to the point of breaking, I feel like, and still wasn't told. So maybe I just needed to twist them harder. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we covered this sort of at the start, but I guess it's kind of nice to end with it too. Like, what does it mean to have exclusive rights to my charity work? Like, how can an organization buy that? So anyway, goodbye Greenbeard. This is the end result for me of what has happened here and what continues to happen, because Softgiving is still a major player in the space in charity work online for streamers. So charity work used to be something I felt I could do to communicate to others that I was a kind person. But increasingly, as streamers are paid directly or indirectly for charity work, a lot of streamers who run charity streams are being paid for it and are not properly disclosing that to their audience in ways that I consider unethical. Not all of them. Not all of them. Lots of people are kind and trying to do good in the world. But like the inflection point for a Greenbeard community to die isn't like 80% of the people are cheating. It's like 20%, maybe. I mean, it depends on the community and stuff, but it's not like everybody has to be an asshole for the entire like infrastructure of online charity work to start to be untrustable and like overall net negative. You just need enough people and it breaks. Yeah, charity events used to be ideal ways to collaborate with others, and increasingly that doesn't feel true to me. Even when people who want to collaborate with me in online charity events are awesome people, they often like are running the charity event because they've been asked to by someone who's like paying somebody else. Like I was running a charity event for Softgiving. Or sometimes they're like, I think sometimes these for-profit organizations are getting deals from charities that are like, yeah, so will you pay us like 50% commission on a charity event if we run a charity event? And the charity's like, okay, fine. Or maybe it's like 10% commission. I don't know. It could be anything. It's still like, doesn't really change the point ultimately. But I often get reached out to by people who are like, we'd like to run a charity event. Would you like to be part of it? Obviously, this will be unpaid because, like, you know, it's for charity. And like, I'm always like, is it unpaid for you? Who's paying the paycheck of the person who's reaching out to me to ask me this exactly? Um, so so often, even when people who are genuinely good people who I know and trust are setting up charity events online now, like the infrastructure that they're using to do the charity event, I just like fucking hate and think is terrible and awful and don't want to support. So like increasingly like charity events that my friends are running that I would have previously been really excited to take part in are being done via a way that I think is just straight up like evil and exploitative and gross, and I don't want to be a part of it anymore. So the closing point and the thing that I wanted to communicate with this video is like, yeah, like someone like Softgiving is fucking awful. And we can look at the first level effect and just see that it's a terrible organization. It's like greedy, it's not charitable, it's exploiting people, it's taking advantage of people, it's like using an algorithm to treat human beings who are enjoying watching an entertainment broadcast as though they are sources of money for a for-profit company, and framing that as charitable. And I mean, I already talked for an hour about how bad that is and could talk for another 10 easily. But it's the second order effect that's like what people like this need to be run out of society for, which is like what the Greenbeards are for. It's so we can run the people without Greenbeards out of the village. It's just like fucking ruining the ability for people to be altruistic in the online space. If I run a charity event, I'm going to be asked by people, and reasonably asked by people, to like prove that the money is actually going to charity. to prove that I'm not being paid for it. People are not going to trust what I'm doing. Like, I have a smart, intelligent community, and a lot of the people in my community do trust me. And if I do charity streams, and I will do charity streams more in my life, a lot of the people in my community are going to trust what I'm doing and support what I'm doing, and it will be great. But gosh, it would be a lot easier if that was just the end of the story. And yeah, actors in the space who are trying to make money off charitable giving and all of this are making that very complicated and hard, and I don't like it. And that is my fairly raw, fairly emotional, could we say even excitable take on the Softgiving drama at the moment. And if you'd like to read the chapter that I wrote in my book that's largely about my experience with them, again, that's in the Discord in the book club of Stabbing thread, or you can probably find it linked below, assuming that I've remembered to do that. And if you want to talk to me more about this, you know where to find me. There are comments below. If you would like to teach me what it's like to be a streamer raising money online for charity, go fuck yourself. I'm gonna preempt that straight away, because like I know like 3 of you out there are like, well, I'm a 19-year-old guy and I understand more about like incentives than this idiot, and I'm gonna tell him what's really going on. And you don't have a fucking clue. Like, it's cool, it's fine, you'll probably grow out of it, but like give yourself maybe 10 years and maybe use videos like this as an opportunity for learning instead of for telling other people what you thought before you watched the video. Yeah. No other life advice at this time. Be good, be kind to each other. This was an awful experience for me. Thanks for letting me vent at you a little bit. I hope that what I said was informative as well and interesting. And I want to like say like overall I am a happy person. My life has been successful the last couple of years despite bad things happening in it. I do not feel like overall I have betrayed my community. I did like one of these, but on the whole, I feel like I've continued to be able to be entertaining and good and serve people with content and all of that. So like, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Don't be sad for me. But maybe be a little bit angry about all this. All right. That's it. That was, hold on.